Hey, I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Rugby Informer. Just some quick thoughts on the Springbok team that's been announced to face England at Twickenham on Saturday. Just based on the rivalry, the history, the amount of South Africans living over in London, this is always a good game for any South African player to be a part of. It's just quite an atmosphere at Twickenham there, and it's a good opportunity for these players to really stand up against one of the bigger nations of the world. And while England maybe are going through a little bit of a strange patch at the moment, it's obviously a big occasion for any Springbok player. It looks like Rassie Erasmus has picked a team based on merit and based on reward for the players that have made the biggest impact over the last couple of weeks or months. And as a result, there are some big changes to some key positions. Interestingly, it's good to see Wilco Louw come back. He hasn't played a test match in quite some time, but he's been doing some good work and putting in some good performances with the Bulls. So fantastic to see him coming in, and he's going to be pairing up with Ox and Bongi and Manambi in the front row, which is quite exciting. So again, I think they know it's an opportunity to put a lot of pressure on that English scrum, which has been struggling a little bit in recent weeks. Arkia Snyman has obviously been immense for Leinster throughout the URC, and every time he's come on for the Boks, he's made a huge impact with his offloads, his ball carrying, connecting up with the back. So he's been given an opportunity to play with Eben Etzebeth at 4 and 5, which is really exciting and interesting to see Arkia getting a lot more game time. And after Kwagga Smith didn't have his best game last week against Scotland, Jasper Wiese is coming back into the number 8 position. Wiese did really well when he came on last week. Every time he's played, while he might be quite a direct player, you know what you're going to get from him. I think he's the right option to bring that physicality and that intensity with his ball carries. And the back line's very interesting. Grant Williams gets the starting nod from Rassie. He has been adding a lot of speed and frenetic rhythm to the backline movement, just to the general game plan in the latter stages of previous games when he's been coming on. Jaden Hendrickse didn't have his best game last week. He didn't do anything wrong necessarily. I think he just was taking his time at the breakdown, and Scotland was starting to take note of that, throwing players into the ruck and causing the Springbok rucking players to fall backwards into Hendrickse. You know, it's something that the scrum half should be aware of. If you see a little bit of a fight in that breakdown area, you got to get the ball out quickly. And as soon as Grant Williams has been coming on, he's been speeding up the play, getting the ball out quickly, and eliminating the errors at the breakdown. So I think he's the right choice for the Springboks for Saturday. And he's pairing up with Manie Libbok. It's great to see Libbok coming back into that number 10 jersey. Andre Pollard's been doing an amazing job, but he did play full 80 minutes last week, and he took quite a few knocks from Sione Tuipolatu, who seemed to be targeting Pollard quite a bit with his big bulldozing runs. So probably a good idea to give Pollard a rest. He's played quite a bit of rugby. And looking at England's defense at the moment, more particularly the defensive problems they've been having, you saw how they played against the All Blacks and Wallabies. This blitz defense, it's not really working for England. They're rushing out of the line. They're missing tackles. They're getting their timing wrong and leaving a lot of big gaps in the middle. I think a guy like Manie Libbok is the perfect choice because he's a player who can spot those opportunities and exploit them with his speed, with his passing ability, with his kicking. I think he's the right player to send into Twickenham to absolutely shred England apart. And obviously, if things need to be tightened up and simmered down a bit, a guy like Andre Pollard on the bench will bring a lot of calm in the latter stages of the game. I think you've got Damien Dialendi and Jesse Kriel at centre. You know what you're going to get with both of them. And Kurtley Arendse and Cheslin Colby on the wings, obviously adding the X factor. And again, Apelela Fassi comes back into 15. It's just a sign of the confidence and conviction that the Springbok coaching staff have to give Fassi the go-ahead to play fullback against a team like England, who also loves their kicking and loves their physicality. And it shows a lot of confidence that they think Fassi can handle that. And he's proven time and time again, he's one of the best jumpers in world rugby at the moment, able to handle any high ball challenges that come his way. So great to see Fassi in a massive game once again. And Rassie's gone with a 5-3 split on the bench this time. Obviously, again, probably leaning into the fact that he knows that English backline is not really clicking at the moment and an opportunity to exploit them. You got a lot of fast, explosive runners like Kobus Reinach, Kwagga Smith, Lukhanyo all these guys will add a lot of speed and a lot of threats to the English backline. Again, and then you got guys like Ulrich Lowe, Gerard Steenkamp, Vincent Koch, is guys who are going to bolster the scrum and really make sure that that set piece dominates in the last part of the game. And England have had to make a few changes also through some injury and probably just changing the strategy. George Martin and Sam Underhill will add a lot of physicality to handle the box. And Jack van Poortvliet comes into scrum half in place of Ben Spencer. It's probably a good call. I thought Ben Spencer, great player for Bath. He's been playing really well, but he didn't look too sharp last weekend. So they need a player who can get the ball out quick and who pairs well with Marcus Smith. They've played together a bit before. Van Poortvliet's box kicks are also really good. So they'll obviously target that aerial game a little bit. And George Furbank, who didn't have the best game last week, he gets dropped from fullback and out of the matchday 23 completely. They brought in Freddie Stewart, a guy who's actually played quite well against South Africa every time. He's very big. He's good in the air. And I think England knows that they are also going to get a kicking onslaught from South Africa. And on the bench, Nick Ezekwe is back, another big, powerful, loose forward. I'm sure we'll see him later in the game, as well as Tom Roebuck, who's been brought in, a very fast, very agile winger. He doesn't have a lot of England experience, but he is a very dangerous player. So it'll be interesting to see how England try and utilize those players later in the game. But for the most part, that English team seems to be struggling to find an identity, what type of rugby they want to play, if they want to be physical, if they want to move the ball more. And their rush blitz defense that they've been practicing and trying to get right since Felix Jones was there. He has subsequently left England. But they just don't seem to be getting the right timing on their runs. They seem to be rushing when they shouldn't rush and sitting back on their heels when they shouldn't. It just seems like a ripe opportunity for the Springboks to capitalize on. That's just what we think. What do you think of the game? What do you think of the team announcement? Do you think Rassie has gone with the right selection of players? Please comment below. Please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.